From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on the Noon News on this Friday. I'm Andrea Lutz. Should you get your flu shot and a COVID shot? Well, a Montana doctor is weighing in on that. We'll get to that story in a minute, but first. The Senate approved legislation to temporarily raise the debt ceiling. Here's today's leading look. The measure increases the federal debt limit through December 3rd. The legislation will now head to the House for approval. The bill allows the U.S. to pay off its debts from the past while avoiding an economic disaster. Pfizer officially requesting authorization from the FDA to use its COVID vaccine on children ages 5 to 11. The agency could authorize the shot within weeks. It consists of 2 doses that are smaller than what's administered to adults. Wages are going up at Bozeman Health. The minimum would increase to $17 an hour. Funding comes in the form of a $25 million investment in employees. About 800 employees will be affected. Leaders at UM's law school have stepped down following reports that deans didn't take reports of sexual misconduct seriously. Law students were seen protesting outside the school this week before those resignations came down. Those with UM say they'll launch a nationwide search now for a new dean as soon as possible. And at least one major airline feels pretty hopeful about holiday travel this year. United is saying it will run 3,500 domestic flights each day in December. That's more than since before the pandemic began. The airline says it expects a surge in demand because flights are up 16%. And that's today's leading look.
Good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Matthew Hidalgo filling in for Miller Robson this afternoon. So we started that cooler and wetter period. As we take a look here at the map here, we are going to see this cold front kind of stall over the Montana-Wyoming border, bringing the chance of some rain and snow showers, especially for the higher elevations in the western part of the state and southern parts of the state. Moving into Sunday, we are going to start to mild out a bit, but by Sunday afternoon and evening, the western parts of the state are going to see another chance of some rain and snow. Today's temperatures are going to be mainly in the 60s, could see some 50s in the southwestern part of the state. And here are tonight's temperatures. We'll have the full forecast in just a bit.
As we head into this flu season, once again already consumed with the COVID-19 virus and its impact on our communities, we've had several viewers ask us if the county will test for flu this year. Well, Riverstone Health says there will be testing for influenza. We're told since flu shares many of the same symptoms as COVID-19 and there is testing equipment that tests for both viruses, COVID and flu cases can be detected. Last flu season turned up with 0 cases in our community, which had some residents speculating. A Riverstone Health spokesperson tells me mistakenly, many people believe that there were no flu cases last year because we didn't test for it. She goes on to say we did test for it, and because of the strong masking, hygiene, distancing, and other prevention strategies, we didn't have any cases. We checked in with Dr. Michael Bush at St. Vincent Healthcare to ask if we can expect another slow flu season this year.
We still don't have influenza here. There really was not a significant influenza outbreak in the southern hemisphere. And so a lot of times we can predict what's going to happen in the northern hemisphere based on what happened in the southern hemisphere previously. That's not a guarantee we're not going to have a significant flu season, but I think we're encouraged that there may not be a significant flu season this year. I still will encourage people to get their flu vaccine. I'm going to be first in line when it comes available.
During that interview, Dr. Bush also weighed in on several COVID-19 virus, vaccine, and impact questions from our Q2 viewers. He responded with his medical experience and also added in some personal examples. Make sure to join us right after this newscast at 6 o'clock on your Q2 streaming app to hear more. Now, you can find that now on the Q2 streaming app for Roku and other devices. If you don't have the Q2 streaming app, you can get full instructions on how to download it at ktvq.com/streaming.
While Montana State has spent this past week celebrating their 40-7 victory over Northern Colorado, the Bears are trying to salvage their reputation after an incident went down on their sideline.
On Saturday, we received a report in reference to a spectator being struck with an object. It was a male subject in their 60s who had been struck with a piece of a clipboard in the jaw.
The broken clipboard came from offensive coordinator Max McCaffrey, son of former Denver Bronco Ed McCaffrey.
We ran back the video surveillance from the stadium, and it appeared as though an assistant coach was on the sideline, became upset, broke the clipboard. Half of the clipboard fell on the ground, and the other piece of the clipboard, it appeared as though the coach tried to toss it underhand towards the bench area. For whatever reason, it sailed into the stands and struck the fan.
The fan was sitting 9 rows up and required medical attention. Northern Colorado released this statement on Tuesday, alluding that McCaffrey tried tossing the broken clipboard to a fan who requested the souvenir, and that there was no intent to harm, nor was the action fueled by anger. However, Chief Gilliland disagrees.
We have heard from bystanders that there was a possibility that the fan was heckling the coach. From watching the video, we're unable to determine whether this was an intentional act or simply an accident. I would say the distance between the fan and the coach would make it unlikely that it was a request for a souvenir.
The fan does not want to press charges at this time, but is hoping for an apology from McCaffrey, which Northern Colorado says he is working on issuing privately.
The case is currently reflected on our daily crime log as an assault. That case will remain open until the statute of limitations expires.
And Chief Gilliland also told me that Montana State plans on reporting the incident to the NCAA. I reached out to Bobcat Athletics for a statement, but they declined to comment. In Bozeman, Ashley Washburn, MTN.